Okay everyone, today we're going to look at locating and replacing the water pump in a travel trailer. My particular trailer that I have is a Kodiak and it's a 240 bunkhouse model, so depending on the manufacturer and the model of your trailer, the water pump could be located in a different area, but overall the basic removal and installation operation should be about the same for all trailers. Alright, so let's take a look at where the water pump is located in my particular unit. Like I said, this is the Kodiak 240 bunkhouse model, and take a look in here. I noticed on our last camping trip we were using the park water, but after we went to the water pump, the onboard unit, I noticed it was leaking underneath the sink. That's where this particular water pump is. So let's take a look. I've went ahead and removed the drawer down here so we could easily see where the water pump is. So if you look up underneath here, you'll see the water pump is located right there, and it's going to be 4 screws holding it into the floor, hose going in, hose going out, and a plug-in for power and ground. So just to ease the removal installation, what I think I might do also is go ahead and remove these drawers over here on this side of the cabinet to see which side might be easier to get to the unit itself. And that way you'll know when you go to do yours which way to go about it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and remove these drawers and go from there. Okay, real quickly, removing the drawer could be a little bit of an issue. There are 2 clips that hold the drawer from coming out. They're a little bit tricky unless you can get it out of there, then you'll see what I'm talking about. One on each side, and they're actually both different. So if you look at this clip, now that I've already got it started, this side, you'll have to push it down. You kind of look at the way that the clip is facing. You'll have to push this down and to enable that to slide out of there. And on the other side, it's actually the opposite. Let me go ahead and show you the other side as well. So now you see on this side, you actually have to lip up on it, and you push it up, and then it'll come undone from right back in here. So while you're pulling the actual cupboard itself out, you'll see only the edge of it will be exposed. So this side you'll have to hold up, the other side you'll have to push down at the same time, and then you'll be able to remove the drawer all the way out. Okay, now that we have the drawers out, let's go ahead and take a look. And there it is right there. So it looks like it is a good idea to take these out, just because you can see what you're doing. And what I'm going to end up doing is taking these 2 screws out from this side, and then I'll take the other 2 screws out from the other side. Now let's go ahead and climb underneath the sink and take a look at what it looks like up close and personal. Okay, here it is. Pretty simple, really. I noticed when ours was leaking, it was leaking right out here. So instead of trying to work on it in here, I'm going to go ahead and take it out and then take it apart and see what's going on, and probably just replace it anyway, seeing how it's always been kind of loud, and I know they do make quieter ones. So I'm going to take a look at what model this is and look at replacing one, and I'll go ahead and run all the costs for you as well to see price if you amount, so you can get an idea. But really what you're going to have is you're going to have a line coming in over here. This one it's going to come in. There's a filter here, keep debris from getting in the pump and ruining it. And here's the exit over here, and then you have a couple wires here that you need to unplug. Now before you start working on it, now that we can actually access it, what I would do would be to make sure that you have the power turned off to the unit, make sure the power's off, and also make sure the water pressure is relieved. So make sure there's no pressure. You don't want to open this up and have water come out everywhere. So first thing I would do is turn the power off, and then go ahead and open the sink to let the water out. And then once all that's drained and there's no pressure anymore, go ahead and we'll disconnect this and get it out of here. Okay, so I got the unit almost out. Got the water lines off, unhooked the connectors on the front there, right here. One here and one here. That's upside down right now, so I got it flipped over. What I noticed was that the ground wire is actually hardwired in right here. So I'm going to have to cut that out, and then maybe when I put it back in, I'll put a little connector on there so we can just pop it in and out. So just in case next time this has to be done again, it might make it quicker. Hopefully it never has to be done again, but you never know with trailers. It seems like We've had this one for 2 years now. Had 2 little issues so far, nothing major, but I have a feeling as the older the trailer gets and the more you use it, and we use ours quite a bit, that the more stuff tends to break. So anyway, that'll probably be something I'll do when we go ahead and reinstall it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that out right now and remove this unit. While we're looking at it, I guess we can look at what unit it is here. So it looks like it is a Shurflo, and it's a model 4008-101-E65, 3 gallons per minute. And I know they make ones that are quite a bit better than this one. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out, and we'll do a little bit of research on the replacement unit and maybe an upgrade and what the cost is. And it should be real simple to wire back in and install. So now that we have the water pump out of the trailer, let's go ahead and take a look at it. I think I found the issue with the water leak. So if you remember, when I was looking at the unit in the trailer, when I turned it on and found the leak initially, water was actually, it appeared that water was coming out of this area right here, but again, it was really hard to see. It was underneath the cabinet. Couldn't really see it very well. Now that I have it out of the unit, and upon further inspection, if you take a look here, what you'll see is right here, it looks like there's a crack that runs all along the unit from down here all along through here and up in here, and basically I'm assuming that that was from freeze. So I did have the unit in some cold weather for a couple weeks, and the heater did get shut off. The unit was unattended, so I'm assuming that that is caused by water freeze and expanded and broke the upper housing here on this particular unit. Now you can, if you want to, you could just buy this. Let me take the strainer off real quick. So if you wanted to, if this happened to you and you didn't want to spend the $72 and buy a whole new unit, you could actually just buy this upper housing unit. If you want to, that's going to run you about $40 for this whole plastic piece to bolt on to the actual pump. I went ahead and opted to spend $30 more and go ahead and buy the whole unit. That way I knew that I'm getting a brand new unit, and just in case there was any other issues, I just felt more comfortable buying the whole thing brand new versus buying the upper housing for $30 off eBay. So that's the route I went. So here's what I found when I went looking for a new Shurflo model 4008, which is the 3 gallon per minute pump. As you can see, I did some shopping here, sticking with the well-known larger stores. Walmart has them for $69.80 and free shipping, and then Camping World also has one for $72.79, and then it goes all the way up to $127.98 for Northern Tools. So as you can see, it does pay to shop around. And here's what I found when I went shopping for a new Shurflo 4048 model, which is the 4 gallon per minute pump. As you can see here, the prices range anywhere from $148 all the way up to $188. So given that the 4 gallon per minute pump is basically twice the amount as the 3 gallon per minute pump, I elected to go ahead and go back to the original Shurflo 3 gallon per minute pump. So that's the one I went with. Okay, so let's take a look at the new unit. We got the Shurflo 4008 model, same as the old unit here. It's running 3 gallons per minute. One thing you'll notice is there's no strainer, so I'm going to go ahead and use the strainer on the old unit, and it only goes on one way. Make sure you put it on the side where the water goes in. You can see the water flows this way. This strainer looks like it's brand new. It's only 2 years old, hasn't been used very much. I'm going to go ahead and use this strainer again, but you could, if yours was old or damaged or whatever, you could get a new strainer if you like. The other thing that I did was put a quick disconnect on the ground wire here, just to make it, and I'm going to go ahead and put a male on the other end, on the trailer side, just for ease of getting it in and out of there. As you can see on the old one, I had to go ahead and cut that one off. And other than that, a couple things you're going to probably want to use is you can get these disconnects. They're $1.99 for a package of them. I got mine at Fred Meyer. Pipe thread sealant. This is used for PVC or plastic. And this is going to basically help seal so you don't have any water leaks. It's like this. It's like a gummy material. You're not going to want to use the like thread lock. If you put that on there, you'll probably never be able to get it off again, or it'll be really difficult to get off again. So use the pipe thread sealant. If you're gonna do that, I would recommend you get that. This was $2.49 at Walmart, so, or at Fred Meyer, so pretty cheap there. All right, let's go ahead and install it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the thread sealant, the pipe thread sealant, on the unit now before I take it in there and get underneath the cabinet. And this will be much easier to do out here. This stuff goes a long ways, and really you don't need a whole lot. So what you want to do is just put a little bit on here, and it will it'll do the job. So just put a little bit on there. Let's do a little bit on this side. There we go. Now when we tighten this back up, and you just want to hand tight, you don't want to over tighten these at all. This is plastic, so if you do over tighten it, it's easy to strip or break it. So let's not over tighten that. You want to put it in like this, and it'll, as you thread this on, it'll push all of the excess out the end there. That's totally fine. You can just leave it alone. If there's too much there, if you put too much on there, you can just wipe it off. Other than that, you want to turn it all the way over, and we'll go ahead and go put it in the unit. Okay, so we got the unit down here ready to install, and you can see here's the ground wire that I cut the other day. So I'm going to go ahead and put the other male side of the quick disconnect on here, so that I can wire this back up here. And this comes with the extra wire, but we already have one that's perfectly good that was on the old one, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. So I'll remove this wire off of here, down here, and use this wire here. So I'm going to go ahead and wire this up, and then once we wire it, we can put it in the floor, connect the water lines back up to it, and get this thing going again. Okay, so before we install the new water pump, let's put the quick disconnect here. Put the ground one here. So I'm going to go ahead and strip this down. This is really simple, but let's go ahead and do it anyway, just to show everybody. So we're going to strip this wire down. Let's use a 12 actually. Right about there. You want to take off about 1/4 of an inch or so. Got some really bad old wire strippers. Doesn't help anything. Okay, so you want to put the disconnect there. So I have a female on the end of the pump, and I'm going to put the male unit on this. Again, this is just going to be so in the future, if I ever go to change the pump out again, it'll be easier. You won't have to actually do any wiring. It'll just be plugging and unplugging the wires at that point. You want to make sure and get this wire all the way in there. Just like that, to where you can see in there. Give it a good crimp. Okay, nice little tug. Make sure that's all on there. Perfect. Then we'll grab the unit, put it in. Okay, and our unit's going to go just like this. Going to sit right back in here. I'm just going to lay everything in so we can kind of see how it's going to sit here. I'm going to bolt it into the ground right here. I'm going to bolt this on a hard flat surface. It can be bolted any way, up, sideways, upside down, level. You can bolt these down any way you want. You just want to make sure that you're on a flat hard surface so that you don't have any excessive vibration that'll wear out the pump or cause a bunch of noise. Okay, so here's one thing I am going to recommend is that these screws, these 4 screws that go on the floor here that hold the base down, I'm going to say to go ahead and start these. That way you don't have trouble later. Go ahead and start them like I did this one here on the right. And that way when you line them up on the floor, you can kind of feel where the holes are and get them all lined up so it'll be easier to screw right down. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, now that we have the 4 screws started here, let's go ahead and set this in where it's going to go. Going to go right about there. You can see here on the ground, you can kind of use your screws to kind of find the holes. And we're in right there. Let's go ahead and screw that down. And we'll tighten it in the floor. And then we'll start reconnecting the electrical, and then we'll connect the plumbing, and then we'll be done. So I'm going to go ahead and get the 2 over here started. And then I will go on the other side and get the 2 going on the other side where the cabinet is. There we go. Just getting started a little bit there. It's going. The back one. A couple turns, get it started. Okay. Okay, now we have the water pump tightened down. You can see it's securely to the floor. It's got the rubber mounts there to keep the vibration and the noise down while it's actually working. And now we got the ground wire here with the coming out of the back of the water pump. That's going to go the female side. We have the male side here to the camper. We're going to connect that. We're going to connect the power to the water pump here on the front, and then we'll connect the 2 water lines. Okay, we have the electrical connected now. We're going to connect the 2 water lines. We got the water coming out of the pump on this side, and remember, you're going to want to do these you're going to want to hand tighten these only. I'm going to use 2 hands. I'm going to put the camera down here for a second, and you're going to want to just hand tighten these. Don't over tighten them because this is plastic and you will strip it. So I'll go ahead and put the camera down while I do that. It's kind of a 2-handed job. We got the water lines hand tightened here. We have it bolted down. We have all the wiring back on. Let's go ahead and turn power on to the unit, see what we got. Turn the power back on and check out the unit, test it out. Got the unit. Looks like we have pressure now. As far as the sound goes, vibration goes, it feels like it's the same as the previous one, and of course, why wouldn't it be? It's the same model and the unit number. Let's go ahead and check out the water here. We got water here. Make sure we got a little pressure. Pressure. Okay, let's go ahead and let's run the water just for a second. Let me check the water and see how much water we have here. We just have about a 1/3 tank, so I'm going to go ahead and run the water for a minute, and we'll check for leaks, make sure nothing's leaking before we call it done. Let's see. No leaks there, nothing leaking anywhere. No water anywhere. Dry everywhere. Actually, not very much vibration at all. It's actually that one might be a little better than the previous one, actually. All right, so I think we're good here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. I consider that a complete installation. I'm going to go ahead and put the cupboards back in. So putting these drawers back in actually is really easy. It's a lot easier than taking them out anyway. So what you want to do really is make sure that you have these all the way in, and then when you take the cupboard here, you want to line it up. As long as you get these in the right spot, they slide right in, and then once you snap it into place, you pull it back out, it'll be locked. I'm going to go ahead and set the camera down just for a second. So I can demonstrate that. And what you want to do is you want to line it up there, line it up on that side. Go ahead and slide it all the way in. You'll hear it click here in a second. There you go. Now you're locked back in. Okay, now that we have all the drawers back in, let's go ahead and run the pump and see how quiet it is compared to the old one. Actually is very quiet, so with the drawers back in you can hardly even hear it. Okay guys, time to wrap everything up. As you can see, the removal and installation of the water pump in your trailer, it really is pretty simple. Hopefully the video helped you in seeing all the tools and everything you might come up against so that you're more prepared when you go to tackle this job. Expect to spend about an hour doing it, half an hour to uninstall, half an hour to install. Other than that, as you can see, pretty smooth, pretty simple. Something you can do by yourself if you choose to do that. Otherwise, you can pay to have an RV place do it for you. Anyway, a couple things to keep in mind if you are installing a new pump. I did read the directions, and a couple of things that it noted was you want to place your pump on a hard, flat surface. You want to make sure that you leave appropriate ventilation around the unit so it can breathe and it'll last longer, and also makes it easier to get to if you ever have to work on it or change anything. And also you want to place your unit within 6 feet of the water tank. That way it doesn't have to work so hard, and also it'll last longer as well. So anyway, that concludes the video. Removal and installation of your water pump. Hopefully it was helpful, and I look forward to posting more videos in the future. If you guys have any questions or comments or anything else, any other videos you'd like to see that I might be able to do for you, leave a comment below. Thank you for watching.